Let us now consider the process of distillation. In your textbook, you're going to want to read the various sections, particularly simple versus fractional distillation. In this experiment, you're going to only be shown a simple distillation, and we're going to test to see how well our distillation product is by using the silver nitrate test. In this experiment, we're going to test 5 different samples. Each one will be in a separate test tube. A 1% sodium chloride, that's the material that we're starting with. The distillate is the sample that we're going to make, and we're going to compare what we make to tap water and deionized water and bottled water, so we can compare and contrast those. Let's now have a look at the pieces of equipment that we're going to need to put together our distillation apparatus. These are shown here and also diagrammed in the textbook. Let's now assemble our distillation apparatus by putting the still, as in distillation, the vessel in which we're going to put our initial mixture. We'll clip onto that an adapter, and that adapter will fit into the condenser. The condenser, of course, is where we're going to turn the vapor that we produce back into a liquid. We're also going to fit the adapter with a thermometer so that we can verify that the vapor coming over is approximately 100 degrees C, which is where we would expect the temperature of steam to be. The conversion of the steam back into liquid water occurs in the condenser. It's essentially a glass tube inside a tube. In the outer tube or shell will run cool water. On the inner tube will be the vapor, and once that vapor hits that cool wall of the shell, the vapor will condense back into water and we will capture it in the receiving flask. Now that you're familiar with the entire distillation apparatus, let's now use that to extract pure water from a 1% salt solution. First, we take the still and we're going to fill it about 1/3 of the way full with our salt solution. With the mantle now turned on, we're going to heat the solution up until the water begins to boil off. This can take a while, so we've sped things up using time lapse. We will show you in a moment, but we've wrapped the flask in glass wool to insulate it so that we can put enough heat into the still to cause distillation. Here you can see the first few drops of our distillate, that's the material that we capture, is discarded. And this is because there could be some lower boiling components, and we don't want those to contaminate our product either. The distilled product that we collect, again, is called a distillate. And you can see a few drops of distillate have already been captured in the flask. Here, I'm going to lift up the glass wool just so you can see that the sample is boiling away. If you look at the condenser, you can see it looks like it's raining inside it, and that is where the vapor is condensing back into liquid, and the liquid is being pulled by gravity through the condenser and down into the receiving flask. Now, having received our product, our distillate, we're going to check to see how good of a job we did. And we're going to do that using the silver nitrate test. In our 5 tubes that we previously labeled, we're going to place each respective sample. Into test tube 1, we're going to place some of our starting material, our 1% salt solution, where we're going to confirm that indeed there was salt present. Our distillate we're going to place in test tube 2. We're going to compare that to good old tap water, Lufkin tap water from 3. Into 4, we're going to put deionized water, our standard water that we use in the lab. And in the 5th one, we're going to use some distilled water that we got from a commercial source. Into each of those tubes, we're going to place 3 or 4 drops of silver nitrate. And the ideal being, if any salt is present, represented by NaCl reactant, you're going to produce silver chloride as a product. And you can see in that equation, it's shown with an S after it. That means it's a solid, that it's going to precipitate. Here we can see our salt solution is turned to milky white. So there's a high presence of silver chloride, as you would expect, because there was a high concentration of salt. Our distillate looks very, very good. We'll show you a close-up of these later. If you look at the tap water, it looks a little bit hazy. The deionized water looks very clear as well. And at this point, the bottled water looks pretty good. So there's our 5 samples. Here's a close-up of each of those. Feel free to pause the video and make your observations. And with that, you have all of the information you need to complete the experiment. Thanks for watching.